Hey guys, how's it going? It's me, Josh Halter, owner and founder of The Biodude. You can check out my website, thebiodude.com. Check out my retail store here in Houston, Monday through Friday, 8 to 4. And today, I am really excited to announce my new Terra Botanica line for micro terrariums, which you guys can see in front of me. I have a whole bunch of stuff here. And essentially, what I've created is a specialized substrate to grow tropical plants and succulents alike, and it's called Terra Botanica, and it's packaged in a 3-quart bag. Not only does this substrate drain extremely well, it also retains the essential air pockets from the top all the way to the bottom, so it aerates. So you can water it exactly or mist it to your needs to help the plants with whatever it is that you're growing. So if you're growing succulents, you would give it a light mist maybe once a week. If you're growing tropical plants, maybe every other day, to maintain your desired humidity levels. And with the small terrariums that we use, I offer 2 different sizes. I have this bad boy right here that is around about 10 inches high and 8 inches wide in its top opening. You can see a good example of one right here. And then of course I also have the hanging, which are really popular. And what's nice about the hanging is the hook here, you can hang these in your sunroom with like a chain or something like that. And a lot of people like to put bromeliads, tillandsia, stuff like that, which I will have small air plants next week for this line. So I do also want to share you guys as far as the different accent items that I offer. So you can see here they're all labeled Botanica accents because they're all different things. I have a bag of small live oak, AAA sphagnum moss, colored river rocks, which I'll show you guys some of the effective ways to use the rocks, the black rocks, and then of course I have the live pillow moss, which is being blocked from the. And these are all in 6 by 4 bags. So, excuse me, 8 by 6 bags. So it is smaller, but it gives you the perfect amount that you need to create your micro terrarium. Now, these are meant to be animal free. There are some, small arachnids, probably really small scorpions. You could probably go with some aquatic newts, things like that in a larger version of these, depending on the size of the animal. You just have to be careful, especially with newts. They can climb. Some of them can be a little clumsy, but one that's a little bit bigger than this, you could really keep some like 5-line salamanders, or maybe some aquatic stage red F newts in there. They would do pretty well. And then of course, just creating your own little, tropical plant section or desert plant section right into your office or living room. So I do have other accents that I use for these. I have small mopani wood, which is great because the mopani does give it a lot of different definition. You can see I use the mopani wood right here. You can use small cork pieces, which I have right here, and I'll show you guys how to utilize them. We have grapevine pieces, which I'll show you guys how we can utilize them. Malaysian driftwood. I like the driftwood because I cut it so it's flat, so you can kind of just put it in. It looks really nice. And then of course assorted seed pods. So you can see one of the completed ones right here. This was actually built about a month and a half ago. You can see the LED that I have on the top. What I love about these plant LEDs that I offer, they have an entire gooseneck, so you can bend them to do whatever you want. These are great for the bugariums that ZooMed makes as well, for your small geckos and things like that. They have an intensity setting. It's all touchscreen, as you can see. Real nice, and they have 5 different color modes. So there's one mode, that mode, that mode, that mode, that mode, and you can go from one extreme to the other. I really like these lights because you can really have these pop out depending on how dark the room is. And it emits the proper spectrum in Kelvin and lumen to grow your tropical plants and cactuses, and I'm going to show that to you now. So you can see one of the ones that I have right here. I'm going to show you guys. Here's one. This one was built around the same time. So I used the small pieces of ghostwood in here in the front, the lipstick seed pods right here. Some live pillow moss, and then Aphotonia. And you can actually see new growth here. You can see new growth here. New growth here. And you see I mixed some sphagnum moss in there. And if you look at the soil, you kind of see how it's layered here. You know, you see all the air pockets all throughout the side. And that's what's the most important, because what that prevents is root rot, which with overwatering and things like that can be done really easily in a small container like this. And that's exactly why I designed the Botanica to be a really bulky substrate, but at the same time, you know, aerate effectively, so that way it really lessens the chance of user error. I have another one right here, which I think turned out pretty good. It has two different types of succulents with the Mopani, and then it has the black river rocks at the front. And it does have some new growth here. So right here, some new growth that has been just transpiring. And there is a small piece of cork in here as well. But my Terra Botanica is seeded with my BioShot. That's not something I mentioned earlier. So the BioShot's already incorporated into the bag because I can really watch it since it is a smaller amount, which is excellent when we are trying to, you know, give our plants the nutrients that they need to prevent rot and other things like that. And then here's a good example of the hanging terrarium. So you don't have to use these lights. If you have another light yourself, you can do it. See, I just adjusted the intensity, and I can adjust it back down. So you can see how I use the piece of cork bark in the background. The cork bark I have standing up, and I placed a begonia here, which actually, at some point, I'm gonna have to keep trimming it. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna keep the begonia at this size, but I'm gonna cut it here and plant it and eventually resell it. So I can constantly trim the plants in here to keep the size like I want them to, like a bonsai tree, but at the same time, maintaining the health of the plant. And you can see these are a really popular option, and I really like how these turned out. So one thing that I love about the Botanica is your options. I am working on getting more plants uploaded, but so here's a good example of some of the plants that you know I include. So this is the tropical plant side. I have different types of peperomias. I have different types of small ferns, you know, a bunch of different stuff. I have the small mini Phoetonias in here. A lot of cool stuff with some color. And then I also have a bunch of succulents, which honestly I like the desert. The desert's my favorite. You can get a good look here. Turn the brightness up a little bit of some of the different succulents that I have to be able to put in here, which I think is pretty cool. And it's really easy to build these guys, and I'm going to show you that right now. So I do have an empty fishbowl terrarium right here. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to open up my bag of Terra Botanica right here. Now it does come like moistened, but I do recommend that you give it a pretty solid misting if you're going to be planting tropical plants. If you're planting desert plants, you don't really need that much. First thing you're going to notice about the Botanica is there's a lot of different ingredients in it. You're going to look at it and you'll see at least 6 or 7 different ingredients in there that you can, you know, see like how all these ingredients work together to make sure that your plants stay happy and healthy so they can continue to grow in your small biosphere. So I do have a little bit left over. And the reason that there's always going to be some left over in the bag is because everybody uses different amounts of the Botanica. I would rather have you guys have a little bit extra than not enough. And I do offer like situations. So one of them on the website is a moss fern forest and something like this. So I would include a small Korean rock fern, which I'd put right here in the back, and then a bunch of pillow moss right in the front, recreating a little moss fern forest, which looks great, green and lush. Well, what I'm going to build is I am going to go tropical. So since I am going to go tropical, I am going to open up my one bag of my accents, which is the AAA sphagnum moss. And I am going to moisten it prior to being used, so I do have a good mister here. You can also put it under your sink The general rule of thumb is you want it to be wet but not dripping. Okay. Now I'm just going to put this right on the top, right like that. Nothing too fancy, you know, just a little bit mixed in to help with aeration and to also help your plants. Okay. Next thing I'm going to do is figure out what plants I want to put in here. So I want to go over to my tropicals. I'm going to grab a begonia. And I'm actually going to go with the fern. I think it's going to look really nice. I'm going to get the fern planted at the very, very bottom. Very bottom, to give the roots tons and tons of space. So, and it's okay if it sticks out a little bit. That's honestly how I build a lot of mine, because it just gives it a little bit more character when it comes out, like that, in my opinion. But everybody can design it however they want. And then I'm gonna open up another one of my accents, which is my live moss. Here's a nice beautiful green sheet. I'm going to wrap this around here. Now, if you are using moss, it's extremely important that you use a dechlorinator because moss needs healthy water. If you're using bottled water, or excuse me, tap water, your moss might not do so great. So what I do sell these small nozzles right here that are great just to keep next to. They don't take up a lot of space, and then you put about a drop of Rectisafe in there. It'll dechlorinate it, make it moss safe, and prevent water spots from showing up on the inside. I like how that looks. And then I'm gonna take a piece of mohogany wood, and actually, you know what, I'm gonna take the cork. I think the cork will look really nice. I'm gonna put the cork right like this in the front. And now, so I see I have a little bit of space right up front here, and I'm gonna put this begonia, excuse me, this peperomia. Yeah, what I like about this, you can actually see the growth right here on these little plants. They're extremely easy to grow, guys. The biggest thing is you just got to make sure you don't forget about them. So you can keep them on the windowsill without a light, and they do just fine. You can put them in your kitchen with a little bit of light, and they do just fine. So there we go. All right, deal with that. And then, so I have this open spot right here with these two. So I have moss in the back with a piece of cork. I'm gonna take a lotus seed pod. I'm gonna put that right there, right like that. And then I'm gonna take one of my bags of Botanica accents, just my colored rivered rocks. I'm gonna open them up. Now again, guys, with my kits, I always try to have these include enough so you don't have a ton left over, but I'm never gonna make it be so that way you don't have enough to fill it out. So are you most likely gonna have some left over? Absolutely. But I do that to make sure that you guys are able to create exactly what you want. And I love doing these because they're great for doctor's offices, they're great for homes, they're great for small businesses, they're great for honestly anywhere. I actually am sending some to my mom for her sunroom in her new home. And she's gonna have a bunch of these made specifically from the dude. So, all right, I can deal with that. And then I'm gonna give this a light misting. When I say light misting, I mean I'm going kind of heavy, but I want to make sure that with the BioShot in there and the fern and everything that it gets adequately taken care of. So I didn't use any of the nut pods or the ghost wood, but that's okay. Let's take a look and see how this turned out. So I would say the front is kind of going to be something like this. And you can turn it so that way it's like that. I don't have any paper towels to wipe the front, but you guys really get the idea of some of this stuff that you can create with how well it aerates and everything like that. I'm really happy with it. I'm digging it. Then now I'm gonna build you guys one more. And I'm gonna build a desert one. And I'm gonna build it out of the hanging garden one. So just to make my life a little bit easier, I am gonna take this out of here. So that way it's just sitting there. And luckily, I had my guys fill up a little bit extra in here, so I am gonna use the rest of the Botanica that's in this bag to fill up the bottom here. Look at that. So I might need to get a little bit more, but we're gonna see what the route that I'm going. All right, so I'm definitely gonna wanna have some sort of Mopani. No. Oh yeah, I can dig that. Okay, let's see here. Now I'm gonna move a lot of the soil to the back, and I'll show you guys what I'm gonna do. Okay, next I'm gonna pick out my succulents. You notice I'm keeping the soil really dry for this. Biggest thing you guys gotta remember is that succulents, cactuses, all those types of plants, they thrive off neglect. If you overwater them, you kill them. If the soil doesn't drain properly and it holds too much moisture, you kill them. So that's why it's really important that when you're using the Botanica, you just kind of come up with your own little misting schedule to make sure that, that everything's in order. Now I'm gonna take this small plug here, which is what they call the small succulent. I'm gonna put that, actually I'm gonna put it here. I'm gonna take black Botanica rocks, one of the Botanica accents. And I'm just gonna put a couple right here in the front. Now, obviously, you got to be careful with how front heavy you make it because it's on a stand, but it does have a pretty solid back base to protect it from falling over. But you just got to make sure that you watch for stuff like that. And then the last thing I'm gonna do, debating if I even want to put this in here. I dig it. Let's get, I got a small lipstick pod, right like that. Now, let's test it out and let's see how we look here. See how easy this is, guys? It takes less than 2 minutes to put this together. The light. So I'm gonna have to put more rocks in the back just so that way I can evenly distribute it a little bit more because it is a little front heavy with this stand, but at the same time that's partially kind of what I was going for, having the rocks in the front. So what I'm gonna do is add a couple more rocks in the back just to evenly distribute the weight, and then it'll sit up perfectly fine. But this is a desert piece that you guys can make. I think this turned out really, really good. So, let's see. Just set this bad boy down right here. Again, guys, I really hope you enjoyed this video. All about my Terra Botanica line. I worked really hard to get this going. It took a lot of time. The biggest thing with me was just making it user-friendly because you can put a lot of different soils in these to grow the plants, but at the end of the day, if it isn't the right one that you know how to manage, if it absorbs too much or shoots out too much, it's just gonna create a lot more excess work for you making this not as enjoyable. And that's where the dude comes in, making your green thumb a little bit bigger. Again, guys, my name's Josh Halter, owner and founder of the BioDude and the new BioDude Terra Botanica line. Dude abides.